About how this install is going, you kind of hinted that it's a little quicker than last year's pace.
Well, obviously having a year under our belt and everything this time last year, where everything was brand new. Now we've got some references to go to. Obviously, we've got some new guys out here that are trying to have to go at a little bit faster pace than what we were used to doing. We kind of squeezed it down one more week, and we're going 4 weeks of spring ball, so we feel the necessity right now to sit there and install every time that we come out here. We don't want to be a jack of all, master of nothing, though. So that's, there's a fine line between doing those things. I think so far the guys have done a really good job of grasping it. Obviously, the further we go into spring ball, the more complicated some of these things are going to get. But, carrying the base of everything with us, they've done a really good job with it.
As the roster sits right now, are there any depth concerns from you?
Oh, I think there's always depth concerns. I've never heard of a team that had too many D linemen or too many corners or something like that. We know that we've got some guys that are coming in, and in spring, every spring it's going to be this way, because of what you lose and what you didn't replace it with and stuff like that. So, there's a little bit of concern. We get some guys healthy, especially at the linebacker position. We ran pretty thin last season at the linebacker position because of injuries. We still got some of those guys that are out that are dealing with it. We got some new guys in. Got, Jonathan Banks out of New Orleans, the senior in high school right now that's really doing a good job and catching on. And so, we're building depth that way, and we feel like, once we get to fall camp, we're going to have all those other guys back, and you build some depth here in the spring.
Hard to imagine a team defensively faster than last year's, but this group looks like it is already.
I think so, and I think some of it is, it's just like what we alluded to, we're a little bit more confident in what we're doing right now. And, that's something that we have to have an identity about ourselves. And one of the quickest ways that we can create one of our identities is speed. We've got to be fast. We've got to be a little bit more physical than what we were today, but, we got to be fast and we've got to be physical. And, we're going to ask these guys to do a lot of different things, have to be very versatile in what they do, and be good at it.
Coach Namdi made the transition from safety down to linebacker. Thoughts on his first 4 practices?
I'm going to tell you, I knew what Namdi, and it's kind of a little bit easier for guys to move forward than it is to move backward. And so Namdi already had some reference to how to play this position because he was always watching those guys in front of him and how they fit stuff. The biggest question, the biggest thing that I felt like was going to be advantageous to him was when he's playing out of the box and he's playing in space, he knows where those guys are behind him because he had to do it. And so he's got a lot better feel than that. My big question was going to be, how did he play in the box? Obviously, that was not something that we asked him to do a lot of, and if he did, he got to do it from 10 yards back and come and see gaps. Now everything just happens a lot faster for him. Obviously, there's some real nuances in there that he's learning every day. The great thing about Namdi is that he's just such an intelligent young man that he can actually turn around and talk to me and tell me, this is how I misfitted, I should have been in here. So he's got some reference to it, he's got some knowledge with it. That's the biggest deal, rather than turning around looking like a deer in a headlight.
When you look at those corners, you got some length there. You got Avery out there, Mason's newcomer, Channing. What are your thoughts on the cornerbacks?
I think they're doing a really good job right now. Obviously, that's a position that with the length and stuff that we've got there now, we feel like we're going to be able to do a few more things with, and excited about where we are with those guys.
There's some kind of cross training at defensive line. You've seen Dom go at left end, Tymon's gone at left end, and they're of course working nose still. Is that something that you guys are wanting to see this spring, or is that something that maybe we see into the fall, like playing those positions?
Yeah, I think until we get some of our guys in, we knew that we were going to have to start moving these guys around a little bit. This can also, for Dom and Timon and those guys, we can get them in those situations, in those positions at defensive end against certain teams, certain situations. Now that they're getting some knowledge with it, guy like Dom, he's kind of liking it right now, being out there and having a tight end block down on him rather than a center and a guard.
I get the sense that you like practice.
I love practice. I love practice. I love being out here with these guys. I mean, shucks, don't tell anybody, but they pay me to do this stuff, and have a heck of a time to get to come out here and play with these guys.
Give me some sense of the challenge that Kendall's offense has presented for you. I mean, and how that pays off in the end.
Well, the biggest challenge right now, he's given us a lot of different looks, and they're doing a lot of really good things out of it, and it's making us adjust on the run. And then the biggest thing for us is we're installing every day, and he goes at such a fast pace, such fast tempo. And, we feel like if we can get adjusted and get all the communication and everything correct against that type of tempo and stuff, then when it comes game day, everything's going to be real slow, and because I can't imagine anybody going much faster than that.
It's an offense you've kind of been a part of before.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you think of it. Don't take the defensive coordinator hat off. What do you think of it?
Well, I think I love it, and even as a DC, I love this. A lot of guys sit there and say, hey, they can score fast, which is true, and sometimes they can be off the field fast. Well, shucks, we came to play ball, and fans came to see ball, so let's give them a show.
Two guys that I'm really intrigued with are Paul and Michael. I mean, they passed the eyeball test, Coach. I mean,
Absolutely.
they look good. What are your thoughts on kind of where their development is, and maybe some of your expectations you have for those two?
Yeah, coming into it, we knew that we were going to put a lot on their plate. We told them when we got here, after the last ball game, and we said, hey, in about 3 months, we're going to ask you guys to be stepping out there, and you're going to be the Dylan Horton, the T. Coop, the George Ellis, and those guys. And, I think it kind of opened their eyes a little bit, like, shucks, this stuff just got real. And that's true. I think both of them have done a really good job through winter off season of preparing themselves mentally, physically for it. Paul has had a really good week 1. And Mike is coming along. I think Mike is certainly having a good week. But, if I were to sit there and tell you right now, Paul's standing out to me a little bit.
When I look at you mentioned him earlier, Jonathan Bax. He should still be a high school senior right now.
Yes, sir.
And he, if I remember right, he played with his hand on the ground a lot as a senior. What has his transition been like at linebacker, and how much are you liking him so far?
I'm loving him. He's a great-looking kid, and he's weighing about 235 right now, and he can actually move it and run with it. To be a senior in high school, and then the concern when you recruit a guy like that is, moving backwards is always harder than moving forward, and so there was a little bit of concern there, but he had so much twitch with it. And he can really run, and so I felt pretty confident about that. He has really done a good job week 1 of really recognizing where he's supposed to be, what his alignment is, and honestly fitting things correctly. And so I'm extremely excited about that young man.